Hi. Hello. If you are watching this video, it is National Coming Out Day, and you can probably bet, since I'm making a video, that I have some things to share. So, yes, exciting day for the LGBTQA community. Just want to lead with, I have a lot of people in my life who probably know certain bits about me, so I just kind of want to bring everyone into the fold. You may or may not know, but yes, I first and foremost, I identify as a person of faith and Christian, but I also identify as a person in the LGBTQA category. So I would fall under the Q, like the queer category. And most people in my life can read that I'm probably not classically heteronormative, but I think the reason that I've waited till ripe age of 33 to share is it takes a long time to kind of come to grips with two very different viewpoints or schools of thought that exist in the same person. So for me, I want to use this time and my story intentionally to create a bridge and build a dialogue. So let me just kind of quickly rewind here. I was at work a few months ago. We had like an LGBTQ&A lunch and learn series, and the facilitator was awesome, but one thing they presented was called the gender unicorn. And for me, this is like 5 points of gender and sexuality. I was assigned male at birth. I identify as a guy, but my gender expression is pretty atypical. It's an interesting mix of masculine and feminine traits, which most people can just observe by knowing me. And then when it comes to romantic and sexual attraction, which are kind of the 2 points of sexuality, like I would experience attraction to men, women, and gender nonconforming people, which would technically make me pansexual. So just kind of want to lead with all of that to kind of give you a frame of reference. And then also just kind of talk about my faith experience and how these intersect. Obviously, these two parts of my life typically tend to not play nicely with each other, and one school of thought can often trump the other, or vice versa. So for me, I just think that this is a really important conversation to have, and most people in my life know one or the other, or in some cases both aspects about me, but I think that it's okay for us to hold space for both of these things to exist in the same person or in the same school of thought. So for me, growing up as a kid, I remember experiencing attraction to the same gender as young as 4, which is like an early time to know. But then at 5 or 6, also being aware of God and how cool he was. But I remember being like in a mass at one point and like thinking that this idea of God already from the get-go like hated me, like the concept of me. And that's like a terrible thing to think as a 5 or 6-year-old. That's a lot of existential weight to carry for someone who's like not even all the way through human development at all. And I think that a lot of people go through that, and that's a lot to deal with. And I just want to offer my life kind of back to that. As I kind of grew up, I really wrestled back and forth, and I didn't feel like I could be open about my life. And so I just lived a lot of my world internally. And then I became like a Christian, or my understanding of an evangelical Christian in college. And over the 5 years of me being in college, slowly began to engage more and more of who I thought God to be and what my gender concept and sexuality was. And it wasn't until like 2008 where I felt like I was kind of able to express all of that out loud and to be able to begin to hold space for both of them in the same place. So that was 10 years ago. And the last 10 years have been me fighting for understanding this intersection of my faith, of my gender and sexuality, and a lot of it includes gender dysphoria. A huge period of my life of not being sure, am I a guy and a girl in a guy's body, or am I an actual guy? And I think I've come to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm a guy, I'm just a super different guy. Like that, these are all things that happen to people, like 10% of people, and I have come to a point where after 10 years, thinking that I would figure it out, be able to weigh in on the conversation meaningfully. If anything, I have more questions than answers, and I just want to invite people to come with me at this point. This conversation is so huge and challenging, and I think that like I want people of non-faith or LGBTQIA people know that God doesn't hate you, and I would love for people of faith to know that like God can hold space for like there being gray area or not knowing how to engage here. And I had a really great friend lay it out for me that there's kind of like a side A and a side B. That side A in Christendom is anyone who affirms LGBTQIA behavior and people and believes that it's of God and blessed by God. And side B is anyone who would not be that. And I just want you to know that if you're side A or side B or non-faith or whatever, I want to hold space for all of you, and I want to invite you with me on this conversation because I am of average intelligence. I can't do this alone, and I want to bring you into that. And there's a lot of resources out there. If you're side A or side B or non-faith, whether that's Q Christian Fellowship or the Liturgists podcast. Liturgists is amazing. They do a ton of great stuff. But I think if you are a faith person and you're not sure, there is a benefit for you here. And there's probably people in your life that you want to care and love for. And yes, let's talk about that. If you are a person of non-faith and you felt hurt by faith people, yes, let's talk about that. There's a place for you here too. And especially for people of faith, I don't want to ask you to change what you believe, because I don't think you should be inauthentic to what your convictions are, but I do want to ask you to maybe consider how you love might change, and how you might engage other people. So yeah, this is a lot, but I think it's important, and my whole goal is to explore this, is to use my story as a tool and as a launch pad and as a facilitator for dialogue and conversation. I actually plan on doing like a video blog series out of this because there's a lot. Oh my gosh, like even in here, I'm kind of having to choose my words very preciously because there's so much I want to say and just never enough time to say it. But yeah, come with me. Let's do this together, you and me and whoever you are. This is a big conversation and there's a bunch of humans behind it. And I want these humans to be able to see each other in a life-giving and loving way, because I think we can. And I think that in this time and age, it's critical. So yeah, happy National Coming Out Day. If you need to access those resources I mentioned, you can click here, here, or here, or anywhere down in that area. And I think that would be helpful. All right, have a great day. Continue scrolling.